My husband gave up during oral. Obviously, giving oral sex is something that he either doesn't like or creates anxiety for him. You're making it harder for yourself is a really combative, harsh way to start off critiquing something that he's already unhappy about. Start gentle, with appreciation. I love that you're trying this. Can you try it X way? Oh baby, you look so hot between my thighs. Can you stick your tongue out just a little? Oh duck, yes, just like that baby. You're so was upset by your harshness. He needed space. The silent treatment isn't an appropriate response, but I can't blame him too much. It's very hard to have a vulnerable conversation with someone who's being combative towards a sensitive issue. Even your method of being calm was to call him an asshole. That's combative again, not calm. I have anxiety/fears around certain sex acts that Miso approaches with gentleness, calm, reassurance, and it's worked to lessen the anxiety and improve the sex dramatically. If, like some exes, he'd pressured me into a sex act I felt anxious over, snapped at me for doing it wrong, and got angry when I shut down, I would not want to return to the act for a long time. Gentle understanding will serve you much better. I would add to this that giving your direction during sex, and even usually after, should almost always be a positive expression instead of a negative expression. I would really love if you did X instead of I really hate when you do Y. A common complaint during oral, when you speed up, when I'm close it really ruins the orgasm for me, can be rephrased as when I'm close keep a steady rhythm and keep doing exactly what you did to get me there and I'll come so hard for you. There are exceptions of course where negativity is warranted, but understand that when it's tied to something as intimate as sexual performance it will almost always kill the mood and often lead to a fight. There's an art to giving direction in a way that makes it part of the foreplay instead. Learn your partner and learn what type of communication works for them as a turn on instead of a turn off. Yep, it's a little like training a puppy. Positive reinforcement all day. This reads like an 8 post. I don't know the reason he doesn't like doing oral on you, but pressuring him for months to do so, and then bashing his technique with oddly combative and mean-spirited wording, then calling him an asshole when he needs some space doesn't sound quite right. Him just imagining how it would go over if I made a thread saying I'd been spending months trying to convince my GF to give me blowjobs. Proceeded to critique her during the act when she finally caved and did it. Followed her around after she walked away in frustration, and then called her an asshole when she didn't want to listen to me. Forget about the oral for now. Your communication sucks, and calling him names is a surefire way to see to it that he doesn't bother trying again. This reads more like an overall marriage problem than a sex problem. Have you guys tried counseling? Yeah, that, and throw in a mental health issue in there as well. Seriously, what is it with Reddit? As soon as someone has a bad day or there is an argument they should go to counseling, have mental health problems, or should find someone better. I didn't read all the comments, but I'm a male, wife is female. I wanted more oral in my life a long time ago. Been married 12 years. She wasn't great at it at first, but now she is great at it and loves doing it, but it took a long time and some understanding. And of course, communication. He is more likely to perform oral if he is very aroused. I found the wife got more excited if she could see my junk, so I wore loose-fitting gym shorts and no underwear around her often. For ladies, try short skirts/fishnets. Try bending over in front of him often, showing off your goods. Might help. The snackier the genitals look, the more likely to be snacked on. As far as communication, when she was doing something well it's good to say like that. More and if she was doing something that wasn't as pleasurable, I'd make suggestions, but made sure to not sound demanding or frustrated. For yourself if he is, for example, licking lots of labia and not enough clit, in your best dirty talk voice shove your clit in his mouth and say something like suck my clit baby, it's so good. If your instruction is in the form of dirty talk, it goes over better. If you're kind and supportive and make sure he is excited and appreciated, it should get better. Also, give him lots of random BJS. I would get on my knees once I got the wife wearing skirts and dresses at random. She got the picture and realized it like the same type of treatment. Good luck. Just saying that the phrasing "you're making it harder for yourself. Stick your tongue out like this" is really not great. All you needed to say was "could you try sticking your tongue out like this?" The way you phrased it made it seem like overly practical advice. Like you know better than he does, even though he's doing it, etc. And then you call him an asshole? I would not be hurt if I were in your shoes. I think you're the hurtful one here. This would definitely kill the mood in my book. I'm a woman. If a man said those exact same words to me, I'd stop too. Also a woman. When I was younger I had a BF give me a similarly phrased criticism while I was giving him a hand job, and I refused to try again with him. It made me hella self-conscious, and it let me know in no uncertain terms that I couldn't trust him to be kind and supportive with telling me what he wants. So why would I put myself in that position again? Of course we only have part of the picture in Op's relationship, but I'm definitely feeling for the husband here. Give him some distance to calm down. Personal frustration can interfere with open communication. When the emotions of the situation have dropped, ask him if you can talk about the occurrence and tell him you just want him to listen. Think about exactly how to say what you want unemotionally and as technically as you can. What gets me to cummies? Don't talk about your reaction or his. That's all emotional processes and we all work differently, and any miscommunication about that could trigger even more emotional responses. Just talk about the physical aspects of what you like and want sexually. Yep, I like to separate out the conversations completely. They need to talk about A, what she likes in the bedroom, B, how hurt he felt by her delivery, and how best to communicate next time. He deserves an apology emo, and then C, how hurt she felt by him storming off, and how he needs to learn how to say "I need to cool down" and talk about this later. She deserves an apology there. And it's important not to combine all these into one talk, because that will make it her vs him instead of them vs the issues. I'd give it a little time so you both can calm down. You absolutely need to have a discussion though. I can relate to him a bit, because it took my years to figure out what worked to get my wife off. She didn't even really know. Don't want to big down the message here with details on my situation. You guys need to have a talk not only about this incident, but more importantly, why he doesn't go down on you. Is it because he doesn't get you off that way? Some other reason? I think that's an important item to address. Both of you didn't handle it well. He knows he didn't do a good job, so you don't have to reaffirm it. That's why he eased ignoring you. You were making him feel worse. This does sound like a marriage problem though and not a sex problem. Your overall communication to him shows a lot of disrespect, possibly contempt. You hurt him and then called him an asshole for his reaction to being hurt. You should be working to see through his eyes, not tell him why he's wrong. It's very understandable why he's upset with you. It's not what you say, it's how you say it. I suspect it sounded like criticism to him and was a blow to his self-esteem. Give him space and try to talk about it again later. I guarantee calling him an asshole is not the way to approach the conversation. Try to put yourself in his shoes. Just my opinion. I called him an asshole because he walked away, ignored me and acted like everything was my fault. I told him gently what I wanted and he wasn't listening me to, hence why I said what I said about making it harder for himself. Keep in mind he tore my vagina a couple months ago and I went to the hospital. I told him to stop and he didn't. He is the abusive one. The only time he wants to have sex is when I'm sleeping as well. It's not about pleasing me. He has a rape fetish. Lumpheo, this post can't be real. It seems like you'll have some communication issues. From this post, I feel like your husband has plenty of reasons why he cold behaved the way he did. But to get to those reasons you both would need to sit down and talk it out until you both feel like you have come to a resolution. Talking like that takes a lot of work. It's hard to try and figure out and understand what your partner is feeling. But if you keep at it and bridge that gap between you two, then I think you'll be much happier in the long run. I think the lack of sex is not the major problem, but the way you guys communicate is. Alpha, this is hard to make out from just one issue. My so gives me tips when I finger her or give her oral, but the way she says it comes over as positive helping information. The way you put it might not have been the best way. Hearing how he was talking about himself shows he thinks he is doing something wrong, and probably thinks the lack of sex is because of him. Calling him an asshole after all this was a very bad idea and just made it a lot worse. On the other hand, I understand emotions. I think you could have said it in a condescending way, but I wasn't there and I didn't hear you, so I can't say for sure. So maybe reflect on that and ask yourself, if he had said the same thing to you, how would you feel? He responded in a very childish way, and you are entitled to feel hurt by that. Give him some space and try to talk about it when the hurt feelings have settled down. I'd give it a little time so you both can calm down. You absolutely need to have a discussion though. I can relate to him a bit because it took my years to figure out what worked to get my wife off. She didn't even really know. Don't want to big down the message here with details on my situation. You guys need to have a talk not only about this incident, but more importantly, why he doesn't go down on you. Is it because he doesn't get you off that way? Some other reason? I think that's an important item to address. But removed. Comment removed. Your advice to ensure that criticisms are constructive is right on topic here, but you need to refrain from making personal attacks yourself. If you don't mind my asking, why haven't you had sex in a year? It sounds like he was feeling insecure/immaculated. His response was pretty childish, but I feel like most guys think they're hot shit, and I've legit never heard a guy not say they were great at oral. Just be honest. It's your body, and if he really wanted you to be enjoying yourself, that should matter more than his ego, and he should be open to feedback. You are probably looking for emasculated, unless you mean he was cleansed of sin. Maybe the way you tried to give him tips sounded condescending. My husband is the same way. Thinks he's not good at it. I usually say, that feels good. Can you try this too? Saying you're making it harder on yourself sounds like you're frustrated with him. He probably just thinks he doesn't know how to do it, right, and you weren't helping. Then you called him an asshole when he was probably just embarrassed and being avoidant. Not cool. Learn how to communicate effectively. Both of you. LMAO, you guys have some serious ducking issues and it's not sex. Seek help or break up. Having anyone just walk away like that is a bad sign. It's like rage quitting a game because you lost the round, but the match wasn't over yet. Self-esteem might be an issue, but with the fact he just ignored your feelings and even got upset with your instructions, there could be other things than just that. I would say talk to him, but I have a feeling that he may get defensive, like you're shaming or attacking him. The worst case is he's got some sort of victim complex and is using it to basically make you feel bad, but like I said, absolute worst case. You haven't had sex in a year. Deleted. Im not opus. Sorry, yes, realize that. I'd definitely be hurt too. Speaking as a male, though, I think I know why he's pissed. I'm not saying he's justified, however, but we tend to think we are good in everything we do, and when we find out things in the moment we get frustrated. You may have been giving pointers, but that's not what he heard. He was probably pissed off for quite a while, and going to him right after wasn't gonna resolve it. After some time to chill out, I'm sure an adult convo will suffice. It seems your husband is judging his self-worth to some degree on if you come or not, and you're moving the goalpost since you made the post. I won't talk about what your husband is doing to make this worse. I won't go hard on you either, but we'll just say this: it would have been much better if you would have went downstairs, expressed ecstasy that he gave you a sexual favor, and then been open to the idea of cuddling/watching TV and/or intercourse. From my perspective, he was emotionally wounded because he feels he failed you, and then you confirmed this by insulting him. Honestly, this is not a sex problem. It's a marriage problem. That's totally normal. I sure would have reacted the same way if it happened to me. Speak with him calmly about this later on to understand why he's acting like that. It may simply be a lack of self-confidence. Maybe he is insecure about his skills. Do try to encourage and comfort him maybe. Almost everyone in the comments is coming off as a sex/relationship expert. Lol, I love Reddit. Hey, I have a very similar experience from the guy's side that I wanted to share with you. My wife and I both enjoy oral. I like to think that I'm quite good at it with her after working on it for 11 years of marriage. But I'm not always perfect at sex. Shocker. We were doing foreplay a couple weeks ago and nothing I was doing seemed to work. I was getting frustrated. So I figured I would go down on her because I know how to do that well. For whatever reason, my technique was not good that day and she wasn't feeling it. She gave me some advice about what to do and I got really upset. I felt like I had failed at something I'm good at. And like your guy, I got up and walked away and stared at the wall. I felt frustrated, inadequate, and really annoyed because I was still horny but had zero desire to go back and duck her. I had been honestly trying to please her and I hadn't cut it. After a couple hours, I went and talked to her about it. She wasn't saying I was incompetent or a failure, just that I needed to try something slightly different. I didn't. Surprise. We had great sex. How I initially reacted was not okay, but I wanted to maybe give you some perspective for why he reacted that way. I hope you guys are able to talk through things and come out better. Thank you for your time. I appreciate your response. I'll go ahead and tell him that he just needed to try something different. No relationship is perfect and I want us to work. God bless you. I've found that approaching things with a humble spirit and desire to get better at sex together is the best way. No one likes to hear what you didn't work. It assaults our egos and can lead to frustration. But honesty is so important. My sex life with my wife is so much better than 11 years ago. I want her more now than I did then. It's crazy, but it all comes from communication and being willing to be partners. How is he the asshole? He's not your slave. Treat him better. Self-esteem seems to be a problem, but you didn't seem to help him out. You started out by telling him, essentially, he is doing a bad job and then told him what to do. Next time, try to phrase it as something you really like or something you'd like him to try instead. You started out by telling him, essentially, he is doing a bad job and then told him what to do. What type of logic is this? In a sexual encounter you have every right to tell your partner when something is not pleasurable to you. If you can't take direction in the bedroom, this is a telltale sign of a selfish and bad lover. Hey, thanks for watching and don't forget to subscribe.